Good morning, everyone. I'm your host, Ginger Healy, for Inside TSS 2020 ATN. And today I am really excited to introduce you to Nathan Swaringen.
Hello. Good morning. Hello.
Welcome. And Nathan is an LCSW therapist and works for the Guidance Center out in California. See, I'm in Utah and it's 3 degrees this morning, but Nathan's in California, so.
Yeah, high 60s here.
Yeah, so bring your sunny, warm personality and weather to us. We're excited. You're going to cross the country and come to Atlanta in February.
Yes.
And speak to us. Let's talk about your session. Can you tell us what you'll be speaking about?
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about how to incorporate experiential play therapy, utilizing concepts of the neurosequential model in education, which is, hopefully most people are familiar. That's Bruce Perry's model out of the Child Trauma Academy.
Right, and he is a great mentor, and we are excited to hear everything you have to say. So tell us what you'll be speaking about and who would benefit from coming and hearing you.
So the type of play therapy that I'm going to be talking about is called Experiential Play Therapy, which is by Byron and Carol Norton. And it's a specific type of non-directed child-centered play therapy. So it will definitely benefit clinicians who are in a school, which I was for many, many years. Now I work as a consultant, but not just clinicians, because a lot of the audience might not be a clinician, or they may not have the time in a school to do a full, 45, 50-minute play therapy session. So those who are doing full sessions will clearly benefit. But even those that are interacting with children in passing, maybe 30 seconds, a few minutes, will definitely benefit too. So the beauty of this model is, and here's my dog, the beauty of the model is that it's not a curriculum. It's not manualized. It's more conceptual, which is much like the neurosequential model, in understanding why children are behaving the way they do and seeing their behaviors through a certain lens. And it's a way of being with the children. It's a way of understanding a child. It's a way of interacting with them and giving meaning to everything that they do. So it really builds on Gary Landreth's model of play therapy, which says that the play is their language and the toys are their words. So it's not a modality to get children to talk. The play is their talking.
Right.
So, I know it's a very brief session, and, it may take years to become, familiar with all the ins and outs of experiential play therapy. But even in a brief session, I think a lot of people can take these tools and very basic core concepts of connecting with children, understanding, even in a very generalized and superficial way, in the brief session, of what the child is showing you through their play. And, I can think of many, many examples where I had, just brief 30-second, a few minute interactions, and having the benefit of this lens of, oh my gosh, I understand exactly what this child is showing me. To be able to build rapport with a child who's dealing with separation anxiety, to be able to regulate a child who is angry or nervous and refusing to go back to class, or actually being able to kind of conceptualize and understand why a child is struggling and indicate intervention for the school after that. So it's really, really valuable. I think the beauty of it is that this play therapy is inherently bottom up. And, for clinicians, we know what that means.
Right.
I mean, you have to regulate the nervous system first, and then, build relationship. And then you can move towards more kind of logic and reasoning and problem solving.
Right.
And those familiar with Bruce Perry understand the 3 R's: regulate, relate, reason. And play therapy, even when it's child-centered, even when you're allowing the child to dictate the way that they're interacting with you, they naturally do these things, and it's just inherent in their interaction if you know how to interact with the children. So that's what I'm going to be teaching about.
That is perfect. Being involved in just letting the magic happen rather than trying to dictate it. And I love these concepts that you've hit on, that you're not saying you have to be a licensed therapist to do this.
No.
It's that shift, that paradigm shift, looking at the child in a different way, understanding what's behind the behavior, and taking 30 seconds to connect, get the child regulated so they feel safe, and then they can get into that executive functioning and that prefrontal cortex. That's just a beautiful concept, I think.
Yeah, and it's really, really neat to be able to, in addition to regulating a child and building that relationship and trust with them, to also, sometimes for the first time in their life, you see this amazement on their face. Oh my gosh, he understands why I'm hurting. But yeah, a lot of times younger children and even older adolescents, they haven't told anyone their trauma, or they've tried to, but we all know children communicate their pain and their needs through their behavior, not necessarily through clearly articulated, eloquent speech. It's very, very rare for them to do that.
Right.
So for a child to understand, oh my gosh, this person gets me, this person knows why I'm hurting.
And accepts me.
Yes, exactly. That validation, that feeling felt, that interpersonal neurobiology is so powerful. I can list a few examples where I've interacted with young and old children very, very briefly that, it wasn't that full play therapy session, if that would be helpful.
Yes, absolutely.
So I was working in a preschool. I'd only been there a few times, and there was this brand new girl, and she was having a really hard time. I didn't know anything about her. And, she would tantrum really easily. So it's a preschool. She's 3 years old, I think. She would be aggressive with other children, seemingly unprovoked. Her social skills were really lacking. And the staff was really compassionate and empathic to her. They were pretty trauma informed. But I didn't know anything about her. So this girl, we were out on the blacktop, and she brings to me a ball. And she would bring it to me, and right before she would hand it to me, she would snatch it out of my hands and then throw it away. So I would voice the ball, knowing as an experiential play therapist that a ball is a metaphor for relationship. How they interact with you with a ball is they're communicating, this is what my relationships have been like. So she would give it to me briefly and then take it away and throw it away. So knowing this, knowing what she's telling me with her play, with her behavior, I could voice the ball. Hey, I don't want to leave. Bring me back. I want to stay with you. Stop throwing me away. Right. So I could voice the ball.
Yeah.
And so we did that a few times. And then, of course, she's connected to me like glue because she feels safe with me and understood. And, a few minutes later, we go in from recess, and I kind of debrief with the teacher, and her jaw's on the floor. And I go, hey, did you see that? That was really neat, right? And she goes, yeah, do you know what she was doing? You were right on. I go, what? She goes, this girl's in foster care. She was just removed from her mom multiple times. So the metaphor was spot on.
Yeah.
So to be able to communicate to that girl, hey, I know what it's like. I know what you're going through, just by voicing that ball was really powerful. And that wasn't a full session. That was a little 30-second interaction.
Right. And the teacher could have done that. I think
Yes.
It sounds like everyone could really benefit from your session, just knowing, how to just stop and look and take in the big picture of this child and see them, for who they are and what's behind the behavior. It's just powerful.
Give value and meaning to everything that they do. All of their play has meaning. And when you give value and meaning to it, the child really feels heard. And it applies to older adolescents too. I've worked with many, many very scary gangbanger adolescents with tattoos on their face, in jail, incarcerated for some very violent crimes. And when I bring out the toys, some of them, they think they're too cool. But once they feel that safe and trust with the adult, their inner child, their wounded inner child comes out. And I've had some beautiful play interactions with very intimidating, scary adolescents as well. So this isn't just for young children. It's really powerful. We all have an inner child, and I enjoy playing as well.
I agree. I feel like we could talk all day. This makes me so excited to come and hear you speak and gather, just soak up everything you have to offer. So we really look forward to seeing you in February in Atlanta. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to Atlanta, and it's really my honor and privilege.
Great. Thanks again.
You're welcome.